All right, guys, let's take a look at proper operation and usage for the belt and disc sander. So we're going to go through our setup procedures as if the machine were not set for us. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean the machine. I'll grab the air hose from over by the bandsaw and do that. And I'm going to return the air hose. Next, I'm going to check for square, and I'm going to check both of my tables because I'm going to demonstrate usage on both of them. So that one looks good, and that one looks good. So my tables are nice and square. The next thing that we're going to do is when we turn the machine on, we're going to align the belt, and then I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different uses. I'm going to show you both the belt and the disc. And we're going to talk about some procedural things. Making sure that your workpiece is tight on the table, okay? Supporting your workpiece down here. Workpieces that are held up are more likely to snag on the belt or on the disc and rip those abrasives, and then we have to replace them. And at, $3 or $4 or $5 each, we don't have the money to be burning through these things. So it's important that we take care of those. We're also going to talk about the importance of moving our workpiece back and forth. If we apply pressure in just a single spot, we're going to burn the abrasive. We're going to burn a line in this belt or burn a ring in the disc. And once those abrasives are burned, there is no way to undo that. And so we have to take the abrasive off and replace it. We're also going to talk about cleaning. And I'm going to demonstrate how you clean the abrasive using this giant eraser. This lives on the back side of the machine, and that is something that needs to happen while the machine is running. So there are a couple of things that happen at this machine: adjusting the belt, cleaning the machine, cleaning the abrasives on the machine, that happen with the machine running, and that's an exception to our normal set of procedures for our shop. So I'm going to turn on the dust collector and grab some material. And we're going to take a look at how to use both of these abrasives. So here we are at the belt sander. And the first thing that we'll look at is just a simple sanding procedure with our workpiece tight on the table. And again, I'm keeping it moving back and forth so that we don't burn this abrasive. So when I turn the machine on, I'm going to check and make sure my belt is tracking correctly, and it is. And so now, with my workpiece tight, I'm just going to apply gentle pressure and move it back and forth along the abrasive. And that's going to give me a nice clean end on my workpiece. Now, you may have a situation where you've got a very small workpiece, and even though it's acceptable on this machine to work closely, we may want to use a clamp for that. And so the most common clamp that we use for this is going to be our hand screw clamp, just like we've seen at the drill press. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my workpiece on the table, and I'm going to tighten the jaws of this clamp down like so. And now I can tighten this clamp, and what you'll see is that now I've got a secure grip on this workpiece. It's not going to move, and I can keep my fingers and my knuckles back away from the abrasive. So as I do my sanding, I keep the workpiece moving, and I also keep it moving on the abrasive so that we don't burn it. Now, in this case, I'm paying attention to not run the clamp into the sander because I don't want to sand my clamp down. Once I've gotten down to where I'd like to be, I can stop my sanding, and this is where I'm going to grab this eraser, and with the belt running, I'm going to just gently run this back and forth, and you can see the sawdust coming out of the abrasive. And that's what we're trying to do, is clear this abrasive out to keep it clean so that it lasts longer. Now, we also want to take a look at how to use the miter gauge. You can see that the eraser leaves a lot of residue on the table. So I'm going to clean that off. And now I can grab my miter gauge. And again, the miter gauge is used. I can set the fence on the miter gauge to a specific angle, and then I can hold my workpiece tight, and as I run it back and forth, it's going to recreate this consistent angle so that I don't end up with a weird shape on my piece. So again, I can turn this on, and holding the workpiece tight against the miter gauge, I can run it back and forth, and this is going to give me a nice, clean, square edge on my piece. And again, this can be set to any number of angles, all the way up to 60 degrees in either direction for consistency here. Another option when working on the sanders would be to clamp a straight edge into place. And so this is a straight piece of material that I've created. And what I can do is I can clamp this on here at a certain angle, and then I can gently apply pressure onto my piece to recreate this angle across multiple pieces. Our preference would be to use the miter gauge, but clamping a straight edge to the table is an option that you have available to you. Now, one other thing that you can do on the belt sander, is I've got this piece that has a curve, and if I want to curve these edges this way, I can actually do that on this machine. And this is an exception to our normal rule. I'm going to actually hold this up off the table, pointed down in the same direction the belt is moving, and with gentle pressure, I can round off these corners. Now, I never want to put my piece pointing up against the rotation of the belt because it's going to snag, it's going to rip it out of my hands, it's going to pull my hands into the belt, and that's going to hurt. So let me show you how we can do this. I turn this on, and then pointed down in the same direction as the belt is moving, I can apply gentle pressure, and I can round off these corners a little bit. Taking special care to not run my knuckles into the abrasive. And you can see that I've got this edge sanded off here. Now that I'm finished, I'm going to run my eraser across here real quick. And when the belt stops, I can blow off the table, and then I'm ready to be finished and walk away. Now we're going to take a look at the disc sander. So now let's take a look at the disc side. All of the same principles that we just saw over on the belt sander still apply here. So I'm not going to re-demonstrate everything. We've got a slot in the table for the miter gauge. We could clamp a straight edge at a specific angle. I'm not going to demonstrate those things. But what I am going to show you is how we keep our piece moving. And I'm also going to look at the importance of working only on the left half of the abrasive. With the rotation, that's the side that's rotating down towards the table. And that's going to give us stability and control as we're working with our piece. So when I turn this on, I've got my piece down on the table, and I'm going to just start working it gently back and forth. And I want to make sure that I use the entire surface of the abrasive. I don't want to spend all my time in one spot. Okay? Just like that until I get down to my specified angle. Then I'll grab my eraser, touch up the grit real quick, and then I can turn the machine off. And just like we saw on the belt side, when this comes to a complete stop, I would grab the air hose, blow the machine clean, and then I'm finished and I can walk away.